What's really good? What's really good? What's really good? Welcome back to another live episode of the Sanchez Show. It's Wednesday nights with the Sanchez Show, man. Later on tonight, my brother Will Gordon will be joining me for a segment we love to call the Opinionated Ones. But for now, let's get to some sports talk. We got some hip hop talk tonight. Hope everybody's enjoying their Wednesday night. Before we begin, as always, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Shout out to all the supporters. I see a couple questions already coming in right now. We're also going to be live on IG tonight as well. So if you're following me over there, make sure you lock in. I'll try to get to them questions and comments as they come in as well. Shoot me a like, shoot me a comment. As always, subscribe. Make sure you lock in. We're going live tonight for about an hour and a half. We got some Game 6 NBA Finals talk. We got some hip hop talk. We got some sports news and any comments and questions that come through. We get into all that as well. Like I said, if you do comment on the IG side, give me a moment. I got both screens up, so I'll be getting to those questions as well. But let's start off right here. Again, make sure you follow me. You see the handle on the page right there. Legend in 2 Games across all platforms. Now, let's get into some of the questions and comments here. I'm going to give you guys my reaction to Game 5 as well the other night. I talked about it on Monday in the pregame show. I expected OKC to handle business. For the most part, they did. It went the way I thought. Obviously, the Pacers went on a little bit of run. Unfortunate that Tyrese Halliburton is dealing with an injury, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse as to why the Pacers is down. The initial reports were that this injury happened back in Game 2. We saw the type of game Tyrese Halliburton had in Game 3. So if he was dealing with an injury, he was able to work through it. He was able to play well with that injury. So we're not using that as an excuse for Tyrese Halliburton. Overall, though, the Oklahoma City Thunder have been a better team in the series. And even though the series speaks and says 3-2, aside from the Game 1 collapse, Oklahoma City has controlled this series throughout. I highlighted it on a pregame show on Monday. Transition points have been a big issue for the Pacers. They're at their best when they're able to get up and down. They've struggled to get more than 11 transition points in this series. So that was number one. Number two, rebounding. Outside of Game 1, Indiana had not won the rebounding battle in any of these games. That continues to be an issue. All right. And the third thing is points in the paint. Obviously, if the Pacers want to get up and down, they want to get open threes, they want to get quick transition points. But if they're losing the battle in the paint and they're not rebounding well, they're not going to win this series. Oklahoma City is just too good of a defensive team. That showed up again in Game 5. Tyrese Halliburton's got to be much, much better in Game 6 if the Pacers expect to have an opportunity to win that in 4-7 games. I think the series is over, though. I think it's over. I think Oklahoma City has locked in. They got their scare of the series. They were down 2-1. They were down double digits in Game 4. The Pacers had their opportunity to put them away, and they did. They kind of climbed up. I'm not going to call it a choke because Oklahoma City is the best team in the league this year. And again, it was a full fourth quarter to go with that double-digit lead. It's not like they blew that in the last couple of minutes of the game. But they climbed up. They got tense. It almost seemed like in that moment they were looking ahead, expecting to go up 3-1 and have the expectations of possibly winning a championship, their first in NBA history. Once they lost that, momentum has been gone at this point, and they got to find a way to win Game 6 at home. It's going to be a tough situation. Again, if Tyrese Halliburton is really dealing with this calf strain that they're talking about, you wonder how quick and explosive he will be. Obviously, he's a guy that needs his speed to be able to create and facilitate for his other teammates in the pick and roll in transition. And if he's limited, that takes away what they do. I know they're a deep team. I know that they like to go 9-10 deep, and they love to do different things with different lineups. But he is the guy for that team. He's the best player on that team. And if he's not right, it's going to limit what other guys are able to do. So that's something to keep an eye on for tomorrow. But I think the series is over. I think Oklahoma City wins tomorrow. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander caps off one of the most historic seasons in NBA history. When you look at him in total points, season and playoffs, he's now ranking in top 10 all time amongst the greats. Them winning 68 games and now on the verge of winning their first NBA championship after him winning the MVP. It's one of the great NBA stories of all time. And I know it's not a sexy story. I know it doesn't have the allure of a big city. When you look at what Oklahoma City has been able to do, specifically Sam Presti, having to reset that organization. They went through the era of Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, and they lose KD, and then they try to bring in Paul George, and that doesn't work out. To have to hit reset and do it as quickly as they did, consider this all has been built within the last 5 years. Paul George was on his roster back in 2019. Paul George gets traded to the Los Angeles Clippers right before the 2020 season, right when Kawhi Leonard's going over there. From that point on, they trade, obviously, and bring in Shai Gilgeous, but they draft Jalen Williams. They have Lou Dort. They draft Chet Williams. They bring in Caruso. They bring in Isaiah Hartenstein this year. They bring in the vets. And now, one of the quicker turnarounds you're going to see in NBA history. A lot of people are going to assume this happened it happened overnight. It wasn't overnight, but it was very quick. Again, to think about where they were 5 years ago in 2020, trading Russell Westbrook to Houston, trading Paul George to the Clippers, to now be here with arguably the best player in the league. In my opinion, I think Joker's the best player in the league, but Shai's in that conversation. To have Shai as an MVP, winning a championship within 5 years, it's a great job by Sam Presti. He's done everything magnificently there, and they still have a lot of draft capital moving forward. And now they have their second star, Jalen Williams, who everybody questioned, could he become that? Could he be the guy to help them get to the next level? They have the pieces in place to go on a run. And shout out to Hoop Scoop. I believe it was Hoop Scoop who mentioned it on Monday during the pregame. He talked about, could they go on a run for the next 4 to 5 years? I said it then. I'll continue to say it. They will have a legitimate shot. Will they win back-to-back? That remains to be seen. That's the toughest thing to do in all sports, to win back-to-back championships. To be able to be the defending champ and have that target on your back and then go win a championship is extremely difficult. But they're going to be in the mix. They're one of the younger teams in the NBA. Like I said, you got the reigning MVP. You've got all this draft capital. You've got your roster set in place. Of course, there's going to be some tough decisions to be made with Lou Dort. Do you move him now while his value is high and give those minutes to maybe Carson Wallace, more minutes maybe for Caruso, and maybe use Lou Dort to flip to give you a little bit of cap flexibility? They're a small market team. So do they want to be up against the first and second apron for the next few years? That remains to be seen as well. But first things first, here and now, you're on the verge of being an NBA champion. And I think they deserve a lot of credit for what they've been able to do, how they've been able to build it. I like it for them. I've been a big Shai Gilgeous-Alexander supporter. I've talked about it here, not only on my platform, but Real Fans Real Talk. Shout out to my brother Trip Young. We will be back Monday night as well. But I thought the kid has progressed so greatly over the last 3 years. To now be the MVP, to be on the verge of being an NBA champion, to potentially be what we love to debate, the face of the league, because I think that's what he's going to become by winning this championship. He's going to become the face of the league now. Oklahoma City has always been, I think, a team for this current generation in terms of the college atmosphere in the arena, in terms of the uniforms. Obviously, you kind of have the holdover fans that were fans when KD and Russ were there, and now you get this next wave of Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they're on the cusp of doing something very, very special. And like I said, winning 2 championships, it's not easy. Winning one is difficult in itself, but they're going to be in the mix. And the Western Conference knows that. The Western Conference knows that this is going to be a gauntlet moving forward. You're going to have to deal with the Oklahoma City Thunder for a very long time now, man. So shout out to them. Let's see what the opening line is for them all. I had talked about the other night as well, going into Game 5. The line was at 9.5. I love that line. I thought Oklahoma City would cover that pretty easily. It got a little dicey there for a second, but they were able to do it regardless. But Oklahoma City's tough at home. And so 9.5 didn't scare me at all. It's 6.5 for tomorrow. I would probably lean towards that 6.5. I expect Oklahoma City to win. And like I said, if Halliburton is injured or limited in any way, I cannot see a scenario where the Pacers are able to keep up with this just suffocating defense right now. Like I said, they're struggling to score, man. You know, the Pacers, they did a great job against the Knicks of controlling tempo. They did a great job against the Cavaliers of controlling tempo. Did a great job in the first round against Milwaukee controlling tempo. Now, to be fair, I don't think any of those, Cleveland maybe, but the Knicks and Milwaukee aren't great defensive teams. So the Pacers were able to kind of impose their will on the style of play and the tempo and those things like that. But you look at this series, Pacers scored 111, 107, 116. Game 3 has been their best game of the series, I thought, so far. That was their first game at home, the emotional wave of the crowd. 104, 109. They've struggled to crack 110 in 4 of the last 5 games. Like I said, 3 of the last 4 games. 4 of the 5 games, like I said, 111 and 116 have been their highest true scoring. On the flip side, you look at the Thunder, 120, 111, 116, 123. the Thunder are controlling the series. And like I said, aside from that fourth quarter blip in the matrix, it has really been Oklahoma City controlling this series. Shout out to Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle has done a great job, I think, of coaching up his team to the best of their ability against this suffocating defense. But it looks like they're running out of gas. I would take the Oklahoma City Thunder -6.5 tomorrow. I like that one a lot. And I probably would even combine that with some sort of Chet Holmgren line, because I think Chet has started really to impose his will in the series as well. Shea's going to win Finals MVP. Again, it's going to be a historic season of regular season MVP, Finals MVP, All-NBA team, winning a championship. He deserves all the credit. He has been phenomenal. But I think there's got to be a lot of credit and a lot of recognition for the growth that we've recently seen from Chet Holmgren. He had a 20-10 game in game 3, a 14-15 game in game 4. He went 9-11 in game 5. He's really controlled the boards. And early in the series, we questioned why Mark Dagnall would go small, why he wouldn't stay with his bigger lineup. He's tweaked lineups, but he's gotten great production from Chet Holmgren in all these games. And Chet continues to grow, and that's another reason why I think the future is so bright for the Oklahoma City Thunder, man. Again, as always, you are rocking with the Sanchez Show. It's Wednesday nights with the Sanchez Show. We're going to get to some of the questions and comments that we have in here. We're live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. My brother Will Gordon will be joining me later on in the episode for a segment we love to call the Opinionated Ones. If you are not familiar with the Opinionated Ones, we give our opinion on a lot of things, man. Sports, music-related, fashion-related. This becomes our time of year. We normally take the spring off. We get back to it right in the summertime, right before the NFL starts. Because Friday nights, we'll probably tweak it this upcoming year. But for the past 4 years, we've done Friday nights with NFL picks and all the talk. This year, we'll probably switch it up and go middle of the week so that we can give our predictions on the Thursday night games as well as the picks for the weekend. Going to have some fantasy football talk. So you'll hear all that here on the show. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sanchez Show. All right. You see the social media handle right on the page right now. Legend in 2 Games across all platforms. All right. Shoot me a like, shoot me a comment, subscribe, follow me, send over your questions, your comments. We're very interactive. We get into all things and all topics that are mentioned and brought up on the show. Now, let's get to the comments that are in this section right now. Let's start right at the top. What we got here? Ron Charles. I like this question a lot. Shout out to Ron. He was first one in the comment section. What are your thoughts on LeBron James' comments on ring culture? I'm going to get to this one. We're going to do this one again later when Will gets on, because he and I had a conversation off air about this the other day. I'm going to say this really quick, though. LeBron James does himself no favors with some of these takes and opinions. He talks out of both sides of his mouth, pause, because on one hand, he's talking about the negative impact of ring culture and how great players are not recognized for being great because they lack championships or multiple championships. He used the example of Peyton Manning, right? Peyton Manning should be able to be in the same room with Tom Brady, even though he has 2 championships. And LeBron misspoke. He said Peyton had 1, Peyton has 2. He talked about Allen Iverson not being recognized potentially as great because he doesn't have a championship, or a Charles Barkley or something like that. Let's say this. No one is diminishing the greatness of any of those athletes he mentioned just because they might have 1 or 2 championships or no championships. Nobody's diminishing that. What we do with ring culture is we compare the greats amongst the greats. And rings are going to separate levels, okay? Charles Barkley is an all-time great. Charles Barkley is one of the best power forwards of all time. But can Charles Barkley ever be in a conversation with Kevin Garnett? No, he's not a champion. Kevin Garnett is. Can Kevin Garnett be in a conversation with Tim Duncan? To a certain extent, yeah. But is he better than Tim Duncan? No, because Tim Duncan is the greatest power forward of all time and has the rings to back it up. That's where ring culture is necessary. What LeBron is talking about is internet trolls. He's talking about guys who don't know much about the game, who are just using rings to say, oh, this person's got to be better than that person. We know that's not how it works. You could be an all-time great player and still have less rings than another player. That very possible. We know that. That's, but for example, Hakeem Olajuwon has less rings than Shaquille O'Neal. In my opinion, Hakeem Olajuwon is a better center, but he has less rings. Does it diminish who Hakeem Olajuwon is? No. He's in the conversation, and in my opinion, he's a better center than Shaquille O'Neal. It's just that Shaq was on better overall teams. Shaq was on a damn dynasty in the Lakers, so he's got more rings. But the reason I say LeBron consistently talks out of both sides of his mouth is this is a debate and an argument that LeBron has actually created himself. LeBron is the guy who loves to highlight his championships when he wants to talk about his greatness and where he stands amongst the greats. Was LeBron not the guy who said winning a championship in the bubble was the toughest championship anyone's ever had to win? Almost saying that my one championship in the bubble should exceed and count for more points than anybody else's championship because I had to do it in the bubble and you guys did. Is that not the definition of ring culture? When LeBron James said, I came back from 3-1, remember he said, I came back from 3-1 against the Warriors. In that moment, that made me the greatest player of all time. So again, that one ring would then supersede you above everybody else. Because when you won 3-1 against the Warriors, great comeback. Nobody could ever diminish that. It is the greatest NBA Finals comeback. And some could argue that it's the greatest championship comeback. There's been 3-1s in hockey. There's been 3-1s in different scenarios. But 3-1 against that 73-win Warrior team is, in the NBA, in my opinion, in the NBA, it's the greatest championship in the NBA, and it could be debated as one of the greatest championship runs and comebacks of any team. But when he says those things, he's putting an emphasis on his championships and why they mean more than other people, specifically Michael Jordan, because we know that's who he's hinting at. He's trying to take the jab at Mike to then say, hey, my championships and what I've accomplished mean more than what that other guy has been able to do. So I don't want to hear about the negativity of ring culture when LeBron has kind of, like I said, ignited that conversation. LeBron has been the guy who's put emphasis on what his championships mean in comparison to other people. He's the guy who went to Miami and counted out not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, as if, again, what he was about to accomplish would be far greater than any other player who's ever played the game. So now that he sees the end of the road, he's in his 40s, he understands that he may not win another championship. I don't think he's ever going to win another championship. He understands that where he's at right now is going to cap off 4 championships, 10 NBA Finals, all-time Hall of Fame, first ballot resume. In my opinion, he's tied for second greatest of all time with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, which is a great accomplishment in itself. Again, we're talking over 75 years of the NBA, and people have you in the conversation as a top 2 player of all time. And again, on a Mount Rushmore of all players, in my opinion, I think that's a great accomplishment. But it's not enough for LeBron. So now he's trying to shift the narrative and move the goalposts to say, well, ring culture has created this thing where you can't be great unless you have a certain amount of championships or unless you have more championships. These are conversations, again, that LeBron has created himself. And when Will Gordon joins the show in a little bit, I know we're going to get more into it. Shout out to Ron for the question and comment on that. But yeah, I think this is one of those situations where I would just wish LeBron would shut the fuck up, to be honest. I just wish LeBron would just keep it moving, acknowledge that it's been a great career, acknowledge that, hey, this is what comes with the territory. People are going to talk. People are going to analyze. People are going to critique the game. That's always been part of the game. Now with social media, platforms that allow you to stream out to people, allow you to speak to people on live, as I'm doing right now, you can have these conversations and everybody's going to give their opinion. And that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But you can't then try to move the goalposts to make it seem, well, like now it's not fair that people are analyzing the ring count and ring culture as a part of the greatness conversation. That's always been a part of the greatness conversation. And he also misspoke when he talked about NFL quarterbacks. And he talked about, Peyton Manning can't be in the room with Brady because he's only got 2 championships and Brady's got 7. No, Peyton could be in the conversation because Peyton is a multiple-time champion. Is Peyton Manning above Tom Brady as a great all-time great quarterback? No, he's not. But can he be in the conversation? Yeah, anybody can be in the conversation. But where he misspoke was to try to put Dan Marino in that conversation. You can't put Dan Marino in a conversation with the Bradys, the Mannings, the Mahomes, the John Elways, and then to that next level, the Aaron Rodgers, the Brett Favre. You can't put him in that conversation because Dan Marino went to 1 Super Bowl and lost. Peyton Manning went to 4 Super Bowls. He won 2 of them. Tom Brady's been to 10 Super Bowls, won 7 of them. Patrick Mahomes is a 3-time champion. You're talking about multiple-time Super Bowl champions in comparison to Dan Marino like that. Dan Marino was a great quarterback, yes. Is he ever going to be on Mount Rushmore? Absolutely not. Again, LeBron talking out of both sides of his mouth and trying to shift the argument in his favor, man. Again, shout out to Ron. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sanchez Show. We stream live over on YouTube, Facebook, and we're on Instagram tonight. Shout out to everybody who's on Instagram. Let me see what we got over there. I think we had some people in here earlier. But any questions come through, just give me a moment on Instagram because I'm clicking back and forth to check what we got over there. Let's see. Ron also states, Caitlin Clark got into it with the Sun team. I saw it at the Connecticut Sun the other day. I think that was that yesterday or the day before. Might have been yesterday. I don't have a problem with players playing physical with her. Some people say because she brings money and eyes that she is being bullied. I don't think she's being bullied. The play that was in question yesterday was a chippy basketball play. She got poked in the eye. She got mad. Connecticut Sun players came to the defense of their teammate. I don't think it was anything wrong with it. I thought it was handled perfectly by the refs. Yeah, it's a tech because Caitlin Clark kind of gave the little shoulder elbow shove to the defender after getting poked in the eye, which then led to players coming over and her getting bumped off her feet. I don't think she's getting bullied though. And I think that we keep this narrative alive of, oh, she's getting bullied or she's getting targeted. Look, there are some instances of people, and we've seen them on other platforms, who are intentionally taking shots at Caitlin Clark. There are some people who are intentionally hating the attention that she gets. I don't want to say hating Caitlin Clark, but hating the attention that she gets. So we know that's a fact. But in terms of what's going on the court, I think on the court, it's been good. I think it's been pretty fair. I don't see any aggressive fouls against her that are unnecessary. I think it's hard basketball. I think she handles herself very well in them situations because she's chippy as well. She got some dog on her too. And whether the masses like it, whether the casual fans like it, it's basketball. This is what happens in basketball. I never played at the level Caitlin Clark got to. But when I was younger, there were times you might get hit in the face. You might get scratched in the arm. You might get poked in the eye. And it leads to the chippiness of you being mad in a moment that it happened. That's a natural instinct. There's nothing wrong with the way Caitlin Clark responded. And I don't think there was anything wrong with the way that the Sun responded. Because if you kind of shove my teammate, my job is to defend my teammate. So I loved every part of it. I thought she was fine in what she did. And I think that this narrative now that's developing of she's being bullied. She's not being bullied. This is basketball. It's going to get physical. Teams aren't supposed to just lay down and let her do whatever they want. They're supposed to compete. They're supposed to challenge her. That's all they're doing. We got to stop this. Oh, she's being bullied. She's not being bullied. There's nothing wrong with that play that took place against Connecticut. I don't think there was anything wrong that took place a few weeks ago between her and Angel Reese. It's basketball. It's competitive nature. We're being too soft because it's the women's game, but it's all good. Will, once you're ready, bro, give me the thumbs up. We got Will Gordon getting ready to join us for the segment we love to call the Opinionated Ones. As always, guys, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show over on YouTube. Shoot me a like, shoot me a comment. Make sure you guys will also follow me across all social media platforms. It is Legend in 2 Games, completely spelled out. You see it right there, the handle across the bottom of the screen. Now that we're getting back into, we're into the summer. We're about 3 months away from the start of the NFL season. You're going to see more of Will Gordon and I. This is our time of year right now. We got to give you our picks. We got to give you our takes on everything. We are the opinionated ones for a reason because we got strong opinions on damn near everything that's taking place in the world. Tonight, we are talking Game 6 predictions. We got to get into this complex list, top 50 New York rappers. But Will Gordon wanted to put a twist on it, and I love the twist, so we're going to get to it. Top New York rappers versus Southern rappers tonight. Will, like I said, give me the thumbs up once you're ready, bro. Once you get situated, let me know so we can bring you on air and get things going. We got a couple of questions still here in the comments section, and I'm saving them just so once we get Will on here right now. We got to talk about the Lakers being sold for $10 billion. Football move that might make major waves. We're going to get to that. But let's bring my brother on here. As always, hold on. Don't say it yet. Don't say it yet, Will. Don't say it yet. Because we took a few months off. So we got the proper build up. You know what I'm saying? Mr. Umpire himself, You know what I'm saying? Me and him about to have a hat war at some point this summer. We're gonna put the hat war on live. We are live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Go ahead, Will.
What it do, baby? Good to be back with you, man. How you doing, man? How you been?
Great, baby. How you?
What's up? What's up, supporters? How y'all been, man? I ain't in the comment section today. I'm on the other side of the jump. What's up with
Yeah,
y'all?
yeah. We've been telling people, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna get back to it. We had to get our schedules right. Life happens, you know what I'm saying? So
Right.
we had to get everything situated. But I definitely wanted us to get back to it by the summertime. That way we in full force once NFL season comes around. So we're officially
Yo,
back. We're officially back on Wednesday nights. Shout out to Ron and Tyson. They had some comments up here. We're gonna get to theirs as well. There's obviously one about LeBron. Do you want to get to the LeBron one right now, or you want to save it a little bit?
let's get it out the way, man.
All right.
Let's
So
get it out the way.
for let me get back to that one right here. One of the things for our supporters, one of the things that I have reached out to, I'm gonna put the question up there so you can see it right now. That I have reached out to Will about yesterday. We're gonna create a new segment. If you've been rocking with us, you know we've been going live now like 4 years, 5 years, right, Will?
About 5 years.
Yeah, right. So we've done. Let's be very clear, because now we got to be very arrogant about it too, Will. We set trends that a lot of other podcasts have run with. The only difference is they're just on a larger platform than us.
Yeah.
But 4 years ago, we was doing a segment called "Fuck With It or Fuck Out of Here," and
Yeah.
then shout out to Mello. I'm a huge fan of Mello, but then I started seeing 7 p.m. in Brooklyn do it. You sent me the link that time, like
Yeah. I was like, hold on, man. We've been doing this jump for years. Like, because we was doing that pandemic days.
right,
Yeah, for sure. And then I see other guys do our topics that we've done, like our random top tens that we do all the time. A
we've
lot
done.
of other guys are doing the same thing that we were doing years ago. It's cute. It's cute.
Yep. It's listen. Imitation is the best form of flattery, so we appreciate that. But we're gonna introduce a new segment. It's June 18th. Tomorrow's June 19th. Shout out to everybody. Enjoy your holiday tomorrow as well, man.
Yes,
Don't make
sir.
sure you're not. I hope you're not working tomorrow either.
No,
But
I'm Baltimore.
I'm off as well. That's why we get to enjoy the night tonight.
Yeah.
June 18th, we're gonna bookmark it because this is the date we introduced this new segment. Shit I wish would happen. All right. Moving forward, when we come on live, we're gonna start doing a segment called "Shit I Wish Would Happen." The example I gave you was, I wish LeBron would shut the fuck up. All right. Now,
Please.
Ron wants to know what's your thoughts on LeBron James' comments on ring culture. I had just gone on a little bit of a rant right before he came on, so I'm gonna let you. The floor is yours right now.
Man, it's always going to be LeBron making excuses for himself to get to make himself look better overall when he continues to chase rings, but then not want to make it about chasing rings. He's he's always making excuses. It doesn't matter if it's in a one game situation. It doesn't matter if they have a bad season. If they have a good season but don't win a championship, it's always not on him. It's all of a sudden all about everybody else. But when the wins happen, it's about him. So I mean, we all well, I'm not gonna say we all because there's a lot of people on his side, but everybody that's not claiming him to be the best thing since a woman spread her legs is it's the same thing every season, every off season. That's why, like for my shit, I wish would happen is I wish he'd go ahead and retire so we can just go ahead and stop talking about it all the time. Like it's enough. Did anybody miss him in the playoffs this year? I didn't. I didn't miss him at all, and I think he knew that. So here he is coming out with statements in the middle of the finals when then nobody's asking him nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? He now that he can't do the podcast with coach no more because now he's coach. Now he's doing the podcast popping up with Nash all the time. It's like stop using these little white guys to get your point across, man. Stop using these little ex-white guys to support your narrative because nobody else is really backing it, man. But people listening to it, people still talk about it. That's why I wish he'd just go ahead and retire so we can move on from that phase of basketball and just enjoy the game for what it is.
I 1000% agree. You made two excellent points there, bro. The first being There's no attention being paid to you right now, right? You got bumped in the first round. You've been home since Mother's Day weekend. We're in the middle of the NBA Finals, and you want to talk about ring culture. So now you want to diminish the guys who are on the verge of winning a championship by making it seem like, man, ring culture blowing this all out of it ain't that big of a deal how many rings
Right.
you got. You know what I'm saying? That's first. Secondly, like you said, using the white guards. LeBron has gone out of his way at this point to create these platforms to push his narrative. Because if it ain't the shop, it's been a podcast with JJ Redick, and now it's the podcast with Steve Nash.
Mm-hmm.
And in all these platforms, he loves to highlight what he's done and why he's so important. Like I said earlier in my rant, he was the one who has gone out his way to call the bubble the toughest championship anybody's ever won. And that in itself should count for more than just one championship. Right? He was the one who on the shop said when we came back from 3-1 against the Warriors, in that moment, that made me the greatest player of all time.
Yeah.
Right?
He didn't say that made us the best team of all time.
Right. It made me the best, greatest player of all time.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to enhance your own championships, but now that you know that you're near the end of the road and you're not going to win no more championships, now it's, just because somebody win more championships than the other don't mean they can't be greater than them. We know first of all, we know who you're taking a jab at. You're trying to take the jab at Mike because you never were going to catch Mike.
Yep.
Now it's about, because then he tried to use the comparison, so you telling me Peyton Manning can't be in the same room with Tom Brady? No, Peyton Manning could be in the same room with Tom Brady. He's just not better than Tom Brady.
Right.
But he could be in the same room with him, right? And I love Peyton Manning, but Peyton Manning won 2 Super Bowls and he went to 4. He won 2 and played in 4. Tom Brady went to 10 and won 7. So y'all could be in the same room, but we know who the GOAT is, right? Now, can Brett Favre be in the room with them? Nah, Brett Favre can't be in the room with them because it ain't the same type of quarterback. We're not talking about the same thing. But LeBron, these are the narratives that LeBron loves to create, again, to enhance his own brand and his name. And the LeBron followers, they eat that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
They eat it up. Now that's going to become the new, I guarantee all summer, that's going to become the new thing.
One thing that goes hand in hand with LeBron when he talks about how this is now ring culture and everybody counts how many championships guys have. Well, you know what didn't happen until you came along, LeBron? Nobody counted how many trips you made to the finals.
Yep.
That wasn't a thing before you started losing them. It was how many you won, but it was not how many you've been to. Until along came you and you started losing them more than you were winning them. And now all of a sudden it's how many times you've been there. So you can't say it's a ring culture now when you're trying to enforce this this participation culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So which way which way we gonna have it, LeBron?
Well, if it wasn't about ring culture and winning rings, then why did he go to LA and then force a trade for Anthony Davis? He could have stayed in Cleveland.
Yep.
He had championships already, right? He had 3 rings already. He could have said, hey, I've won 3 championships. It's been great. I'm gonna just stay in Cleveland and finish it out here. And we hope to win more, but I'll just stay here. He went to LA for that reason, to chase more rings.
He's a walking contradiction, man. He's been that way his whole career. I don't know why it's a surprise now. It's nothing new.
No, I completely agree. I 1000% agree. That's why when I text you that yesterday, that was my first thought, because it's like, this dude will find any reason under the sun to try to hype himself up and present himself in a light that now I understand what LeBron means. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. You wanted more championships. You've had a great career. Nobody's diminishing that. But it's almost like to him, it's still not enough that most people consider him an all-time great. It's because people aren't willing to bow down and kiss the ring and say he's the greatest that now it's still a problem. It's a very, you know what I'm saying? It's a very just skewed narcissistic mindset that LeBron has. And I love him as a player. I don't love what he does off the court.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the stuff he's doing, like I said, to me, just hurting the legacy even more. Because now you're sounding bitter. Like winning 4 championships still wasn't enough for you now. Being viewed as an all-time great still not enough for you.
Well, you know why? Because now a lot more noise has been paying attention. People have been paying a lot more attention to Kobe in the debate of, who's better, who's below Mike. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people
Yeah.
finally saying, when did Kobe all of a sudden get skipped by LeBron? And I think we all know LeBron's he's probably not going to win another championship at this point.
So,
So he's got 4, right?
yeah.
And Kobe's got 5.
Yeah.
So he's doing the math, and he's like, well, damn. People are starting to realize that, maybe I'm not supposed to be stepping over Kobe like that. Plus he's going to end up having more titles than me. You know what I'm saying? So now he's really pushing that anti-ring culture narrative because he sees what's in front of him.
I think there's a part of that that's the truth, and I think there's also a part of LeBron. You and I have had this conversation about players' impact, greatness, changing the game, right? I've always debated yes, technically this is the LeBron era. He's been the best player for the longest stretch of this era, but it wasn't a dominant era because during the quote unquote LeBron era, a lot of other guys were able to get chips.
Yeah, that's the thing. And when you look at the guys that don't have chips, that like he was bringing up, like everybody loves to bring up Charles Barkley first. Who was Charles losing to?
Mike,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Oh, nobody ate when Mike was there. Right. Nobody ate. That's the difference.
So, him and Steph got the same amount of rings.
Yep, that's another thing too. And then you can look at Steph, and because when I do my top 10 in basketball, LeBron's never in the top 3. That's just me. But when it's all said and done, when you think about basketball and impact on basketball, the bigger impact to me is Curry.
I 1000% agree, and that's what I'm about to say.
He changed the way the game is played.
When we look back at the game, 15, 20 years from now, Will, right? When your son is older and more engaged in sports, you know what I'm saying? I might have grandkids at that point. I have a feeling that we're going to look at LeBron's legacy completely different then.
Mm-hmm.
Because skill-wise, I've had this debate with people a lot of time. LeBron is not a high-skilled basketball player.
No.
He's just a physical force. He's a physical force. That's why this whole conversation about, does LeBron have a bag? He's got a very limited bag. Anybody who watches basketball knows that. It's a very limited bag.
That brown royal bag.
It's the joint Giannis used to bring to the casino.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But it's a very limited bag. So when you look at guys who are far more skilled, like Steph, like KD, I think 20 years from now, when people talk about the game, they're going to view his legacy differently. I'm like, yeah, LeBron might have been the modern day version of a Wilt in terms of physically, he was just more talented or physically more gifted than guys. But in terms of skill, he's not more skilled than Steph. He's not more skilled than KD. He's not more skilled than Joker. You look at the season Shea's putting together right now. This is a historically great season that Shea's about to put together right now. He win this championship, regular season MVP, finals MVP. In terms of total points for the season, he's going to end up top 10 all time in one season. He's what Shea's doing right now is the type of shit that Mike was doing in his prime. There are a lot of people saying this is the greatest guard season since Michael Jordan.
And you know what? I was listening to something earlier when they were talking about the comparison of SGA, historically great season, like you just said. Scoring title, MVP, regular season MVP, could be and probably will be getting a championship and a finals MVP if they win a championship. Historically great season. But so statistically it is, but just something about it that just don't feel like it to me. I mean, it's great, but it ain't like it's good, but it just don't feel the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, like when you talk about the other guys and when they did it, it felt more dominant than what this does. And I don't know if it's because of the finals matchup, with the Pacers going into it being considered not a traditional powerhouse that you would expect to see in the finals. Nobody had them going there. This is a team that was in last place in the East at one point in the season. And and the way Oklahoma City plays so much as a team, more of like it feels like more of a college team than it does a pro team. It's kind of, it just don't feel the same. Like, it don't feel like when Mike did it. You know what I mean? It don't feel like, I mean, it's great, but it don't feel the same. When you got that rubber on, it feels great. It feels great, right? But when you take it off,
yeah, it's different.
It's different. So it's like OKC feels like safe sex. You know what I'm saying? But in the SGA season, it feels like the safe way. But it ain't that raw dog Jordan style pause that it don't feel the same. Is all I'm trying to say.
So I agree with you, and I highlighted this on Monday. Oklahoma City is a college feel. I think they're this generation's like favorite team because it was carryover from the KD Westbrook era. So a lot of the younger basketball viewers, they love that team and love that city just for that reason. But in terms of dominance, no, it's not the same. But I also think it's going to be very tough. I don't want to say we'll never get it again, but I don't think you're ever going to get a player with the presence and aura that Mike had when he got on the court. When Mike got on the court, it was the aura of like, this is the baddest man to touch a basketball on the court right now.
Yeah.
And then you knew when Mike got going, like for us especially, that was the privilege that we got to see it in real time.
Mm-hmm.
So that feel was like when Mike is on the court and he gets going, and the opposing fans are starting to cheer. The opposing bench is going crazy off the things he's doing. Shea is very methodical, but Shea ain't the athlete that Mike is or was. So everything with Shea is going to be methodical. He's going to get into the mid-range. He's going to hit the jumper. He's going to get fouled and go to the free throw line. Mike was dunking on 7-footers and then pulling up mid-range, and then next possession down, hit back, you down, and had to turn around. It was just the total package that Mike did it with, that it was like, yo, what do you do with this? Whereas Shea, it just feels more like, yeah, it's good, it's cool, but it's not as dominant as what Mike was.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you on that. Let's get to some other things, and we got to get to this list because that's the meat and potatoes of tonight's show, man. First and foremost, guys, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show. We're going to be going live every Wednesday night, starting at 7:30 p.m. All right. If you haven't tuned in with us in the past, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and now Instagram. As the NFL season gets closer, we're going to start giving you our predictions, our picks. We're going to do a divisional breakdown at some point, all that good stuff. But tonight we are doing a revised version of what Complex did with the top 50 New York rappers. We're going to kind of do New York rappers versus the South tonight. Let's get into a little bit more NBA talk, and then we're moving on. Really quickly, Game 6 tomorrow. Is it over in your opinion, Will?
Yeah, I think it's done. With the injury to Halliburton, usually that's a 2 or 3 games off type injury. And I know this is the finals and all, but are you hurting your team more than you're helping them? Last game, you definitely were hurting them more than you were helping them out there. So other guys are going to really have to step up if the Pacers think they're going to have a chance at extending the series to 7 games. And I don't see that happening. Halliburton being out, which I think he's not going to play. If he does play out, like I said, I think it's going to be a hindrance to the team. But if he's out, that's putting McConnell in the starting position, who's only starting 1 game all season. And if he has to play a starting role in extended minutes with the style of play and the energy that he puts on both ends of the court, I don't know how much gas he's going to have left in his tank in the fourth quarter. That's going to be real challenging for Carlisle to manage the guard minutes. I think you're going to see a lot of Nembhard initiating offense, which I think he's capable of. But again, that's not something you want him doing in a finals elimination game situation, him taking on a role that he's not used to in that type of pressure situation. The only thing I think the Pacers have really going for them is nobody expects them to win, and they're at home. I haven't seen yet the officiating crew for tomorrow. Is Scott Foster on the call? Do you know?
I can look it up. But I doubt it because they had Scott Foster there for Game 4, right? So I doubt they're going to give him Game 6 back at Indiana.
If he's not on the call, then it's over. But if he is on the call, then it's going 7 because I think the league really would like 7 games out of this series with it being with the ratings being as down as they've been. I think their only saving grace would be a game 7 to kind of try to get back in the black as far as the numbers goes. And if Scott Foster's on the call, then it will be extended to 7 because he is the NBA fixer. So if he's on the call, it's going 7.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't put him on it. Like I said, he was just there for game 4. But also, I think the NBA is fine with it that it went 6. I think Rick Carlisle's done as much as he could do with this situation. They were heavy underdogs. I thought he was good enough coach to at least win 1. He got them to get 2 out of this. The NBA is fine with it. It wasn't a clean sweep. It wasn't a gentleman's sweep. It was competitive enough to draw attention. But now they own the big and better things. They ready to move on. The draft is what, next week? A week and a half?
Like the 28th or something like that.
So I think they're okay with this being done. It's cool. Right? We got the games out of it. We'll move on to the draft now. Let's focus on the draft and let OKC move on with their celebration.
You don't think they want that Sunday night game 7?
Well, game 7 would be Friday.
Oh, it would be a Friday night?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's kind of sexier though. You don't think they want that?
If actually no, I'm sorry, you're right. It would be Sunday. Because tomorrow's Thursday, yeah. Tomorrow's Thursday, so it would be Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm got my days mixed up.
Yeah, me too. I did too. I mean, the league would love to promote it, but at what cost? Because is Halliburton healthy or is he limping around? Because if he's healthy, maybe they do want it. But if he's limping around, then it's like, all right, we're going to send him back to OKC, and then they're going to get smoked there. Put it this way, would the NBA prefer a competitive game 6 that OKC wins, or it goes back to game 7 and then it's a blowout by the middle of the third quarter?
Yeah, they want that 6. If it went 7, I don't see it being a blowout. Go ahead, sit Halliburton tomorrow, because it's not like you sitting, somebody that's going to give you 30 anyway. You know what I mean? He's so hot and cold. You never really know what you're gonna get out of him anyway. If he's hobbling around and can't really give you anything, sit him. Hope you ride that home momentum to a win, and then he's been rested all the way to Sunday, and hope he can give you hell on Sunday. But I think that's just the fan in me wanting to see one more, a little bit more basketball. But everything points to OKC winning tomorrow. That's why.
I agree.
That's why in sports though, that's when you expect it, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean? When they say, the saying whatever you expect ain't gonna happen, and that's just the way I'm saying it, because everything points to a Pacers loss, but that's why I saw the casinos in Vegas, right?
Yeah, I do think it's done. Looking at the series as a whole, I think OKC has just been a better team all series. And aside from that letdown at the end of game 1, OKC has been a better team in damn near every game this series.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's over. Halliburton, if he plays tomorrow, if he's limited in any way, Carlisle's got to pull the plug on him quick. I don't think you even try to force him if it's ugly early, because then all he's doing is hampering. I thought the other night he hampered them. But I also would like to know when the injury really happened, because during the telecast on Monday night, they said that the injury happened during game 2. And I'm like, well, he played great in game 3. So how severe was the injury? His best game of the series was game 3.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me it happened in game 2 and he played well with just a little bit of rest, then maybe it's not as severe as we think. Maybe he will be fine tomorrow.
Right. And maybe that was just a cop out.
Right. Maybe it was just a
horrible game.
Just a cop. Right. Maybe it was just a cop out. And shout out to Perk. Perk said Bob Myers didn't like it. I don't know if he was watching the halftime, but Perk said from jump, he said, "Man, I don't want to hear about no injury because Halliburton looked scared from tip off."
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he called him out, and then Bob Myers, the former president GM of Golden State, was like, "What do you mean he looked scared?" He was like, "I saw it in his face. He looked scared."
Wow.
He said he going east to west instead of north to south from opening tip. He looked scared. So he was like, I don't want to hear about no calf injury when you came out and looked like you was already shook. But we'll see what happens. We both got OKC tomorrow. I said earlier the opening line is 6.5. I like OKC to win. I expect them to blow them out tomorrow. I think it's going to be a celebration early on in that game. Speaking
of the broadcast, does ESPN have the finals next year, or is that going to NBC?
I got to look it up because NBC's new contract kicks in. I wonder if they got it. But ESPN has butchered this whole situation.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's so awful. Like, that's why I didn't see that comment at halftime, because I haven't been watching. Like, I've been watching the games with the volume down, and I haven't been watching the halftime shows because they are horrible. Like, I would expect so much more from ESPN with all the money and resources they have, that you would think that they give you a better production than what they are for these finals. But it feels like I'm watching preseason games with this team. How did Richard Jefferson all of a sudden go to being a finals commentator? What
who's that?
Richard Jefferson. Like, what? How many? I ain't gonna say that, but whose back did he have to scratch to get all the way up to the finals broadcast call?
Yeah.
And Doris Burke, I'm sorry, inclusion and women's rights, I'm all for everything. This is not for her. And if she tries to make another funny little line as they go to commercial that doesn't land, it's like, I'm gonna throw something at the television, man. That's why I've been turning it down, because between Richard Jefferson making something about him, every time a player makes a good, I remember that the exact same thing happened when we're in New Jersey, and I'm like, come on, man, everything didn't happen to you, bro. He talks like he was the focal point of all these teams when he wasn't. Doris Burke knows basketball. I'm not saying she doesn't, but behind the mic on such a big stage, this ain't for her. I'll listen to Doris Burke call a game like Portland versus Milwaukee in mid-November or something like that. I'm good for that. But for the finals, we've had so many great finals call. Like, think of if a big moment happens in these finals, a huge moment. Part of the thing that happens in great moments is the call, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to be part of any great moment. It's not, the call's not going to be a part of it, because this team is horrible.
Well, their chemistry is horrible, though.
They don't have any.
Yeah, they don't have any chemistry, and this is a bad time to put them together. Next year, I looked it up. Next year, ABC, ESPN still have the exclusive rights. Even though NBC is coming into the NBA fold, the exclusive rights to the finals still is ESPN, ABC.
It feels like they had a thing at ESPN, whoever sold the most candy bars, they get to do the broadcast.
The chocolate, the 4 square chocolate bars.
Yeah,
the cardboard briefcase.
Yeah. Whoever sold the most of them, they get to call the finals.
They need to do whatever they can to just get Jeff Van Gundy and Mark Jackson back with Mike Green. That was the best thing.
Yeah.
Just get them 3 back together. Because like you said, Doris Burke is trying to fill in for Mama, There Go That Man. So she's trying to think of any joke she could think of, go to commercial. Because that was Mark Jackson's line as they was going to commercial.
Exactly.
They need that.
And it was classic. It was classic. People still say it, People still say it.
Also, really quickly, a couple of things we're gonna go. Jair Alexander goes to Baltimore as a free agent. The quarterback was a little hurt last year. Does it make a difference for the Ravens?
If he's healthy, yeah.
I agree.
But that's a big if.
If he's healthy, but ultimately it comes down to how Lamar plays in the playoffs. Lamar got to play better. He got to play like MVP in the playoffs for them to win. Lakers sold for $1 billion. Jeannie Buss is going to stay on as executive of the team until the sale is official.
How much?
$10 billion. $10 billion.
$10 billion?
$10 billion with the B. I was a little shocked when I heard the news, just because there's all this new money that's coming into the league now with the new TV deal, along with all this talk about potential expansion within the next 2 to 3 years. So the value of teams is going to be even higher than this. I mean, $10 billion, we know it's the Lakers, but in 3 years, that's probably going to be a $20 billion team.
I feel like $10 billion is low for the Lakers.
That's why I said that. I think that in 3 years, I think they're going to be worth 20 to 25 billion. When you consider all the new money that's coming in with the new TV deal, and then if they do expansion, how that's going to upvalue the league. The Lakers, Los Angeles, the Laker brand, the fact that you would have the ownership of Staples and all the other things that go with the Lakers, 10 billion. I was surprised.
I would think like 13, 14.
I think if they do a reevaluation in 3 to 5 years, it's going to be like a $25 million organization.
Probably.
Maybe Jeannie just wants to get out the business. She's been in the business her whole life. Maybe she just wants out.
But that's the thing. You can't get that today for them. But if they held on to them, they'd be worth that. But I think today they could have got 13, 14.
Yeah, maybe.
10 is still low. What's the Cowboys worth? Like 12? I know it's different leagues and everything, but
I think last time, I don't remember the particular order, I can look it up, but last time they mentioned the value of every team, I think the top 5 were in no particular order. I think it was something like Cowboys, Knicks, Yankees, Lakers. Let's see. I got to look it up now. Let's see what the top values are. So the Cowboys are number 1, valued at $10 billion. This was as of, what was this Forbes article? Back in December.
10 billion.
Cowboys at 10 billion. The Warriors are second, valued at, let's see what they got the Warriors at 8.8 billion.
Damn. I'll be forgetting about Golden State when it comes to stuff like that.
The top 4 are in this order: Cowboys, Warriors, Yankees, Knicks.
Always Warriors. Knicks, huh?
Mm-hmm. But that's also because with the Knicks brand, James Dolan, you own Madison Square Garden and you own their cable rights. That's why James Dolan never sell it.
Oh, okay. MSG is him?
Yeah, MSG is him.
Yeah.
MSG is him. Now, damn near every team has their own cable network. But at the time, when they had MSG, he owns Cablevision, who is the cable outlet in New York. So they have their own network that's on his cable provider. The value of the team is just crazy. Same thing with the Yankees, same thing with the Red Sox. They have their own network that's on their actual cable provider. So it's a monopoly. Everything runs through them. All right. Will, let's get to it, man. We got a couple questions here in regards to the hip hop list. For those that were not live with us on Monday, well, first and foremost, make sure you subscribe to the Sanchez Show. We're going to start going live every Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Will Gordon and myself. This is a segment we love to call the Opinionated Ones, where we give you our strong opinions on everything going on within the culture. Sports, hip hop, movies, food. We might have to do a food podcast one day.
Oh, I'm with that.
Yeah, we got to get a food one in too.
Sure.
All right. Make sure you guys subscribe again. Every Wednesday night, 7:30, we'll be going live. And then on Monday night, shout out to my brother Trip Young. Monday nights, Trip Young and myself, Real Fans, Real Talk, at 7 p.m. as we give you the recap in the week in sports. But this past Monday, there was a question posed to us regarding the complex top 50 New York rappers list. We had an ongoing debate about it. And then Will brought up the great idea, well, why don't we do the top 10 New York rappers? We could call it versus in comparison, debate against the top 10 Southern rappers. Now, Will, you told me that the guidelines we're using for this, we're not talking record sales, which I like. We're talking lyricism, we're talking impact, we're talking swag.
Yep.
All right. So
I represent the South, man. You rep New York.
All right. So my list was already kind of outlined because we talked about it on Monday. So I'm going to go with the top 10 I had, and then we're going to go back and forth. As we do this, though, we got a couple questions here.
All right.
All right. This one I'm going to go to first. Tyson has one about Biggie and his longevity in the game, but I like this one because this is a real conversation that I don't think enough people have. And Will, you and I are old enough to remember this man's impact on the game and where he should probably be ranked. Tyson said his dad says LL Cool J can have a case as the GOAT. And he wants to know, what do we say? On my list, I got LL as number 5. And Tyson, your dad is correct. LL has a legitimate case to be the GOAT, lyrically, one of the greatest MCs of all time. Impactfully, He's fathered a lot of dudes' styles. He went to war with a lot of dudes in the hip hop game. Culturally, we know what he did, crossing over to movies, crossing over to TV, fashion, doing a Gap commercial wearing a FUBU shirt. But Will, I want to hear from you. LL Cool J, on my list, I got a number 5. You let me know where you would have him on your list, and how do you feel about Tyson's question?
LL Cool J definitely has a case as the GOAT. Not as far as like rapper, but as far as like influencer of rap. You know what I'm saying? If I guess using a more current term, he did really start a lot of stuff when it came to rap. He had the first rap ballad. I Need Love was a banger. He was the first one with the chains and stuff, if I'm not mistaken. Didn't he have before Run DMC?
Nah, Run DMC and them, they was doing the Dookie Gold chains.
When Breaking come out?
Huh?
When did Breaking come out?
Breaking came out, what was that, 81? 82?
Because he was in that joint with the gold chains on.
Yeah, they recreate. So in Breaking, that's when they recreate the scene where he auditions for Russ.
Yeah. Okay.
When he comes in. But remember, Run DMC was already on, and Run DMC has their whole style, they've acknowledged as well, was really the byproduct of the Supreme team. Shout out to Supreme, McGriff, and you know what I'm saying, the true Queens legends out there who Jam Master Jay was running with, because Jam Master Jay was heavily connected in the streets. So they basically just took the street style with the Adidas, with the tracksuits and the gold chains. They already had the gold chains.
I know he was the first one with the champagne in the videos and to take his shirt off all the time. I know that.
He was the first hip hop sex symbol.
Yeah, that. His early LL Cool J, man, like he was probably better than everybody for like, except for at the time, like Rakim. Like it was him and probably at that time, early LL Cool J was him or Rakim. Probably I would have said were the two best rappers. But as far as in his longevity and all, I mean, I'm not gonna say I can remember an LL album since 2001. I know he's done some, but I can't remember any of them. Since the joint he did, the Timberland did a lot of the beats on, and that had to be like 2002, 2001, sometime back then. But he has a case for sure.
He has a case, like we talked about. He could be in a room. He not the GOAT.
Yeah.
But he could be in a room. The longevity though is what changes things for me, because the big three for me is always going to be Jay, Biggie, and Nas. And the way, I mean, Biggie excluded. We'll get to this other comment by Tyson as well, since we're going to get into Biggie. And he wants to, Will, I want you to answer this one after I say what I got to say here. He said, Will, like someone on here for a few days ago, and I'm young too, but no rap history. Why, with 2 albums, is Biggie 1 or 2 all-time to most longevity? All-time wise, hurts big. New York list top 3 is legit. So before you give me your answer on that though, Jay and Nas, to me, always going to be at the top of that list because of their ability to adapt and stay relevant all these years later, right? Jay and Nas both debuted albums in the early to mid 90s. So here we are 30 years later. They still dropping relevant music, relevant verses, still impactful in the culture. Whereas, like you said with LL, that light dimmed out back in like 2000. LL was great during his run, and LL has classic songs, but the longevity plays a major factor. You're telling me 20 years ago your music stopped being relevant, whereas these other guys, and I'm just saying it.
Say it out loud.
It's funny, but it's the truth though. If you were not in a car right now, right? Yeah. And I throw on some Jay, you be like, oh, this is my shit. If I tell you, yo, Nas got some new shit, yo, let me hear it real quick, right? A lot of cats. If I tell you, yo, there's some new Method Man shit, yo, let me hear it real quick. Yeah. But if I tell you, yo, LL just dropped some shit, you be like, I'm good. I'm good.
You know what? Now that we're talking about it, he had an album come out. It might have been last summer or last spring. Nah, because I remember it was a song on there. I heard it on XM radio, and I was like, this don't jive go a little bit. And it was what's the name of that song? But it was only one joint, and then I downloaded the album and I listened to it once, and the only other time I listened to anything from it was the one song I went to download the album for anyway. So it was like he did have one song last summer that was decent. Proclivities was the name of it. That was the name of it. It was a decent little tune.
Like I said, nobody's knocking his skill and how great he was as a lyricist, but it happens. It happens on all art forms. Sometimes you're not able to transition with the changes within that art form.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just think that's what separates Jay and Nas. Now with Big, only reason I don't hold the longevity against Big, and I talked about this on Monday. One, I mean, it ain't his fault he was murdered. That's just out of his control. Sorry. But two, if you put on Ready to Die or Life After Death right now, there are timeless classics on it. That, like I said, if you listen to the lyricism now, it's still phenomenal how he was able to rap. And we're talking about 25 years ago.
I still rap around Biggie now.
Right.
But he's not, he's also, I don't put him in that New York top 5 either.
Okay. That's fair.
Like, that's just me. But like those couple albums go hard, but I just don't put, I mean, he's probably in the top 10, and I ain't put him in the top 5.
Fair. Listen, that's what we're here to do. We're here to give our opinions on stuff. So,
like, I gave my top 5 actually on the show Monday.
Yeah. You had said Jay, Nas. I no particular order, but I know you had Jay, Nas, Fab, Meth. Who I'm missing on there?
Jay, Fab, Nas. Oh, and Jada.
All right, so Jay, Fab, Jada,
Nas, and Meth.
And yeah, all right.
That was just my 5. That was just me.
I also remember, like I highlighted, I guess, and this plays a factor for most of us from New York. I remember the buzz when Big was first starting to come up, because I remember the EPs and the mixtape circuits where he was getting songs played on the radio that wasn't even on an album yet. He had that song Party and Bullshit. He had, like I said, a couple of remixes that he had done. So his name was circulating already as an unsigned hype before he dropped the album. So when he dropped the album, that just took it to another level now. Mm-hmm. We had already heard the lyricism beforehand, you know what I'm saying? And then we saw the completion of a project and was like, yo, this dude is phenomenal. But again, if people don't want to put him in there, I understand that. So those are 2 questions we got right there. This last one we're going to get to, and then we're going to get to the back and forth on our list. Tyson also wants to know, give me your top 5 New York female rappers of all time. Real quick, I have Nicki, Kim, Foxy, Roxanne Shante, MC Light, and an honorable mention is Rod Digger out of Flip Mode Squad. That's my honorable mention because he said 5, so I had to get 5. I couldn't put Rod Digger over MC Light or Roxanne Shante, so she's number 6. She's the 6th woman off the bench.
Okay. It's catching me off guard. Women, I'm going to go Light. Salt and Pepper from New York.
Yeah.
Them collectively would take a spot for me. Foxy, Kim, and then probably Nicki. Yeah, that's my 5 females.
There you go. No, Cardi B doesn't make the list. No, Ice Spice does not make the list. No. And no disrespect to Cardi. I respect what she's done in the game too, but it's not on that level. All right.
Ice Spice from New York, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she from the Bronx.
I don't be listening to y'all because I just know I hear their names and see their pictures on IG or whatever, but
she from the Bronx.
I don't be knowing nothing about her.
All right, let's get to our joint though. Because like I said, this is not rooted in sales. This is rooted in lyricism, impact, swag. All right, who had the type of impact? Who also brought the lyricism that made you have to rewind that verse, replay that whole song, whatever the case may be. Will, I'm gonna let you kick this one off. Like I said, I got my top 10 from New York. You let me know what you got from the South. We're gonna go back and forth on it. So however you want to start.
I'm gonna go with I gotta come with the big joker first for the South.
So this is the top dog in the South.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta come with 3 Stacks, man.
I knew it was.
I gotta come with 3 Stacks. Andre 3000 gotta be the number one for me, number one rapper from the South. As far as you talk about rewinding.
Yeah.
Rewinding tracks to him. This dude, it's still songs that came out years ago. I might catch something I still didn't catch years ago. You know what I'm saying? Style, he got a style of his own.
Mm-hmm.
What he was able to do with Big Boy and Outkast Impact as a group too. I remember when Outkast first came out, they had DC going crazy when they first came in because they, basically just a little bit older than me. You know what I'm saying? We was in high school and that Outkast album, that Southern Playalistic Jones was going crazy. I gotta go 3 Stacks, man. And you put him against anybody from anywhere, and there's no problem.
So as I was thinking about this conversation, right? Again, based on the criteria, and I said to myself, in terms of lyricism, style, impact, I can only think of 5 guys from the South that could really hang with the top 5 from New York, right? And 3 Stacks is one of those guys. The uniqueness of the way he rapped, like I said, it was his own style. We had never heard any. To this day, I don't think we've heard anybody put the bars together the way he puts the bars together. It's very unique in the way he sets up the punches. A calmness about the flow because he never seems rushed. There's never a point where you be like, yo, he struggled with that beat. Every beat is flawless for him. It doesn't matter what it is. Andre 3 Stacks, I agree. I think in comparison to New York cats, yeah, he probably would. If he was a New York cat, he probably would be a top 5 dude.
Yeah.
He probably would be up in that range. But I like it. I mean, you got him as your number one guy. Coming out of New York is obvious. My number one guy is Jay. Always and forever. You talking about checking the box. The only thing that Andre 3 Stacks I don't think checks the boxes the way a Jay would is impact. Because I think the flow is great. I think the swag is smooth because, again, he has his own style. He reinvented himself over time as well. When you look at what he was when he first came in as an artist towards the end. But in terms of impact, I don't think Cats was I don't think he was a trendsetter in the way that Jay was a trendsetter.
Oh, no. Nah. Nobody's going to wear the furry leg warmers.
Yeah.
With no shirt. And nobody's doing that.
But Jay ultimately, like I said, is always going to be number one. Jay, I mean, I don't even know where to start or stop with Jay. I think it's crazy when I hear down south cats who try to pretend like, oh, Jay wasn't getting played down south. You're bugging. You're lying.
Yeah, that's a lot.
First of all, real hustlers know what Jay was talking about. So if you was a real hustler from anywhere in the world, you was probably listening to Jay-Z. That's first. Jay's ability to collab with anybody, not just New York cats. Jay was jumping on remixes with songs from anybody in any coast of the country. So you listen to Jay at some point, and that opened you up. And then again, all the collaborations. Jay at his peak was collaborating with everybody who was hot. How could you not have listened to Jay-Z's song? So to me, Jay-Z is always going to be number one. Who you got number 2?
Number 2. No, the rest ain't in order. The rest is just in the 10.
Okay.
All right. But I'm gonna come with Actually, I want to kind of do it in order, but I'm gonna have to go Wayne.
That's another one.
Wayne, man. Mixtape Wayne was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Like we could throw out all the albums and just go off mixtapes.
His mixtape catalog better than 90% rappers' total catalog.
Yeah, for real. Lyricism off the charts. That's never going to be in question. Impact, huge impact as far as I think Wayne maybe more than a lot of other rappers was able to cross over. Like a lot of other rappers weren't able to. Wayne was able to cross over like Jay-Z wasn't.
Yeah. To a certain extent, yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like Wayne got the skaters. You know what I mean? Wayne had the rockers. Like Wayne had a lot of audience that even the rappers we consider that to be the best didn't have the reach that Wayne did. Like rappers have reach, but Wayne, it always seemed like to me he had a little bit more. And that was worldwide. I felt like Wayne was just a thing. There was a time he had a run where it was people fighting over it. You know what I'm saying? A fighting over saying Lil Wayne was the best rapper of all time and all this other stuff when he was hot. When he was, now I'm not gonna count that album that just came out a couple weeks ago. That thing
We're not gonna include that. We're not gonna include that.
Yeah, that's a weed plate right there. That thing is horrible. But everything else, like as far as his impact, swag, style, lyrics, you gotta put Wayne in there.
You have to. I agree as well. I think, like I said, Wayne's mixtape catalog is better than 90% rappers' total catalog in general. Wayne beautifully mastered the mixtape game. He didn't create it because there was a lot of cats who had already done the mixtape game, but nobody mastered it the way Wayne did. Wayne, at his peak, had you listening to the remix of songs more than the original song. Had you listening to Wayne's verse on them as opposed to the actual song. And I mean, he was doing cats dirty on their joints. So Wayne got to be on the list. Wayne is, I mean, in terms of style, yeah, some would debate if he was that impactful from a style perspective, because his style was a lot of up north stuff with the Bay, the Nate, you know what I'm saying? It's been talked about before, like the impact that Philly had on him, because Gilly was in that camp for a long time, so he got some of his style from Philly cats. But other than that, I mean, Wayne changed the game. A lot of cats wanted to rap like Wayne. A lot of cats wanted to look like Wayne. Like you said, he crossed over in a way that most rappers can't. Wayne probably would be top. I'm not even gonna say probably. Wayne would be top 5 on any New York list as well. I'll give you that one. Who you got next? For me, like I said, Biggie and Nas is 2 and 3. Biggie to me is timeless music. Yes, he only had 2 albums, but again, you can't hold that against him. He was murdered. That ain't his fault. Nas, again, it's timeless music with the lyricism and the stuff Nas was talking about it as an early 20-year-old in New York City. You put some of the verses on now, he's so aware and conscious of what was going on in the world in the 90s that it's crazy to think here we are 30 years later, some of them same things are still going on in the world. And he was rapping about this in his early 20s.
Yeah.
So to me, if anybody out of the top 3 would slide out, it would be Big, like you mentioned, because of the longevity. I would put Jay and Nas. Wayne maybe would probably slide in like number 3 if he was out of New York. But I agree with Andre, 3 Stacks and Wayne is your top 2. Who you got number 3?
I'm gonna go ahead because I'm gonna get to him eventually. Pause. It's gonna be Ludacris. Ludo got bars for bars. And I remember my early 20s, early mid 20s, that was the club. Any joint he came out with, when that joint came on in the club, it was a rap. The way he that was kind of like when the South was really starting to make some noise, like when he was coming along with making some noise. When he was coming with Disturbing the Peace and what's my man? JD was coming pause with all the the South was really on the rise at the time. But Luda stood out. His lyrics were catchy, they were smart, and they were funny. Videos went crazy. And that's when videos were, they were a bigger part of the culture back then, of course, because we didn't have the internet popping off like it was now. But his videos went crazy.
The visuals were a must. Him and Busta Rhymes are 2 of the greatest in terms of the visuals to master music. And
I've seen this dude spit, like, as far as he makes good albums, because a lot of rappers are good rappers and don't make good albums. He makes good albums, multiple good albums. His debut album banged. he just was very consistent throughout his whole rap career. And he had a little run on the mixtape circuit, but he had some pretty sick mixtapes too. The crossover to Hollywood was very successful for him. He represented Atlanta to the fullest, and to make the move from radio DJ to one of the best rappers that's ever done it, and to having Hollywood success and everything else, I gotta put Luda up in there.
Luda, I thought you might mention Luda. I think Luda had a good run, but it was a short burst. When he first hit the scene, like you said, the music was super impactful. That first album was dope. The music was fire. The videos matched the energy. But I don't see him as the same like impactful guy as like Andre 3 Stacks or Wayne. It was because I look at it as a short burst, and the reason I say I don't see it as impactful is because like the music was good in the moment. It wasn't timeless music. Like if you hear it now, it's like, oh yeah, that shit was cool. It don't hit the same way like it did then in that moment. In the moment, it was dope. Now I think like if you listen to Andre 3 Stacks verse, it still has the same feel. You listen to Wayne's mixtape shit, it still has the same feel. Luda to me was like, it was cool in the moment, but looking back on it, it's like, it was cool, but it was that moment. It was like that 4 to 5 year run where he was just hot.
So you don't think them Luda's hits bang today? I think they do. I think you might have to go back to the catalog.
In the right setting, Fantasy probably still bumps.
Pimping All Over the World definitely bumps.
Pimping All Over, Get Out the Way in the right setting. I just don't think impactfully it holds up the same way. Dope lyricist though, definitely a dope lyricist. I'd never take that from him. His verse on the Made You Look remix with Nas and Jada was fire.
Yeah, I was about to mention his features go crazy. Yeah. What's that one?
I'm So Hood. Like he was on some major bangers with a feature on him, but he did his thing. I just like I said, for me, I don't know if he would be that high up on the list. I think there's some other cats in the South that's probably more impactful and was better than him.
I mean, it will be, but it's 10 dudes on the list. I think he's on there.
Nah, let me ask you this. You mentioned Luda. I don't know if you had him actually third. You got Luda above T.I.?
No, T.I. on my list.
All right.
T.I. definitely on my list.
All right.
T.I. actually higher than him.
I was about to say I would put T.I. higher than Luda.
Yeah, T.I. higher than Luda. But that's what I was saying. Like Andre was my one. I want to put everybody else in order, but.
So like in comparison to my top 10, right? I got J Big, Nas, Rakim, and LL. That's the top 5 I think out of New York.
Okay.
Out of those 5, I would take LL out. I would take LL out for Andre, and I would take Rakim out for Wayne. Like Andre and Wayne could crack the top 5 in New York. It wouldn't be top 3, but they could get top 5 because I just think their impact and the lyricism, and no disrespect to the God MC, but Rakim ain't never had the impact that Wayne had in the game.
See, this is where I'm looking at the rest of the list, and I think they all got their arguments, but it's always going to be considered the South. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me give you a name that I know was popping in New York, but it's the South name. How about, what would you say, Jeezy? Where would you say he falls?
So remember when I talked about the 5 guys that I think Jeezy's one of those 5.
Okay.
Impact, everything across the board. I think Jeezy might be one of the most underrated artists. When Thug Motivation 101 came out, Thug Motivation 101 came out, that was 2005. I've never seen people in New York embrace a Southern artist the way they embrace Jeezy.
They had the Snowman Jones on up there and all that.
Cats was rocking the Snowman joints with the dark glasses. When he, like, there's certain people's aura that you just can't deny.
Yeah.
When he had that song, and it sounded Southern, the beat was Southern, the way he was speaking was Southern, the context was Southern. But when he had that song, White Air Forces.
Oh, yeah.
There was cats in New York bumping that joint like it was a New York song. I think there was cats in New York that embraced that song in terms of Air Forces more than they embraced Nelly's Air Force One song.
Yeah.
Because just the feel of the song. Jeezy, I don't know if, and maybe this might just be just because how I feel about the album. I can't think of another Southern artist, like I said, that got embraced that way by New York.
Yeah, that's
you can speak to how it was in DC, but I know in New York, cats was like, nah, Jeezy is different, bro.
I'm looking at the list too. It's like I don't want to glance over T.I. like we did, because I remember it was a time. I said it, but I don't stand on it today. But there was a time I remember calling my dude. It was like, yo, this dude T.I. is the Jay-Z of the South, bro. I forget what album it was. I think
Shout out to A-Love. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a second because he's on my list too.
I think it was the second album. I was like, T.I. about to be the Jay-Z of the South. And Jay-Z was like always my number one rapper of all time. So for me to say that about T.I. at what point is to speak to how what I thought he could have been as far as a rapper goes. Lyrics was crazy. Songs, like his album, his best songs weren't singles. You know what I mean? Like I feel like his best songs didn't come out on the radio. His songs were more on the albums. But his guest appearances crazy. He made a little crossover to the movies in Hollywood too that was successful. And still today, you still see T.I. doing his thing. You still see him on Versus. You still see him on TV all the time, and he did his little thing trying to do the stand-up comedy for a little bit too. So he's a man of many talents, and still out here doing it. That's a very long career because his stuff came out when we was talking about LL's last stuff came out. And T.I. still relevant, I think, today. So I got T.I.'s up there.
Yeah, T.I. to me, T.I. is one of the nicest lyrically. He got classic material, classic features. T.I.'s held his own against any type of artist that he's rapped with. So I got T.I. on that list as well. Like I said, I felt there was 5 dudes from the South that you could make a legitimate claim that's like, not only would they crack the top 10 in terms of like if you compare them to New York artists, some of them would have legitimate arguments to be like top 5, top 3 type. Like I said, Andre 3 Stacks, Wayne, T.I., I think is on that list. I think, again, Jeezy, man, I still listen to Thug Motivation 101, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It's so classic, bro. And then the beauty in Jeezy, when we talk about impact, right, and swag, all right, he went from the Snowman t-shirts, right, and purely drug talk to then be able to do a song like My President is Black.
Yeah.
Right? And drop that song a year before.
I was just playing that yesterday.
Right. But then the vision to have the song out a year before Obama even became elected president.
Yeah.
So
for real, I was playing that song yesterday. I was making some posts about the current president.
Yeah, the clown, the commander and clown that's in office right now.
Yeah, I was making some posts about him and add some music to it, and I was putting that joint on there. You know what I'm saying? So Shout
out to A-Love. She said, "What y'all think about Fab?" So we both have Fab.
Yeah. Fab in my 5.
I was about to say we both have Fab high on our list. You have him in your top 5. I went according to the criteria that Complex had put out. I have him in my top 10. I think Fab is phenomenal. He's another guy, again, long-term longevity. The bars is crazy. We talk about mixtape.
Fab new stuff is ridiculous.
Yeah. Again, we're talking Fab's debut album came out in 2001. We're 24 years later, and Fab still lyrically is one of the sharpest dudes in the game. And
videos out and everything still. It's all on YouTube now, but
the visuals, if we're talking swag, there is nobody who has more swag than Fab.
Nope.
There is no, hands down, if we having a swag competition, Fab is number 1. So
I agree with that.
If you want to talk about trend setting, Fab is one of the top trendsetters in the game. Like I said, lyrically, we want to talk mixtape. I personally think Fab mixtape work is better than his album work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
The soul tape.
What we talking? 5 soul tapes? We talking summertime shootout?
No, that's 3 soul tapes.
I thought it was all right. So 3 soul tapes. We got summertime shootouts in there. We got the Freestyle Fridays work in there.
Yeah.
We got the Freddie versus Jason, him and Jada collab. It's so much stuff. Fab got so much material, bro. Fab is
before Fab even came out with an album, when he was on all the DJ Clue mixtapes, he was ridiculous.
One of the best joints that he did on. I mean, there's so many of them on Clue, but the joint with him, Paul Kane, and Joe Budden is still my favorite. When they did the triangle offense over the grinding beat on a Clue tape, still one of the best joints. That joint dropped, I think, like in 2000. You go back and listen to that joint on YouTube. Listen to the wordplay on that. Joint was crazy. Him and Joe
What
Budden.
joint is I'm about to write it? What joint?
Him, Paul Kane, and Joe Budden. They did the triangle offense over the Clips grinding beat.
Triangle offense.
You listen to the joint on the joint they did on the grinding beat, and that's when the grinding beat first came out. When people wasn't even really on the Clips yet. To me, they was the one who put me onto that song because when I heard them rap on that beat.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah,
you heard that new Clips joint?
So Be It.
I can't remember the name of the joint.
The one that they just dropped yesterday?
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Ooh, I need that album immediately.
You heard the first single?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, they dropped the one single last week, that Ace Trumpets joint.
Oh, wait. That's the joint I'm talking about.
No, so you ain't heard So Be It. They dropped another one yesterday.
Man, yeah, I was talking about the Ace Trumpets joint.
Nah, listen to So Be It.
All right, I'm gonna get on that.
That joint, they dropped the visuals for it yesterday. I mean, Push. I wish we could claim Push out of New York, but we can't.
He on my list.
You got him as a Southern? You got him as a Southern? All right. So if you got Push.
Ain't shit to do but Push.
All right. So now Push.
Ain't shit to do but Cook, man. He from Virginia. Ain't shit to do but Cook. My son said, yeah.
Push would definitely be on any.
But I ain't got him in the because I just racked out. My list got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 people on it.
All right, so far off your list, we got 3 Stacks, we got Wayne, we got Luda, we got T.I., we got Jeezy, we got Push.
He was the 15th person I wrote down, by the way.
Nah, I ain't no way you got him as Push 15th?
That I wrote down. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right, who else? Give me a couple more names. Who else you got?
Rose,
you gotta have Rose on there.
Rose on there for sure. And this dude I don't even like, but you gotta put him on here. Future.
Future would crack no list.
Dog, I mean, he meet impact wise, you can't Impact put him on there alone.
Impact, yeah, that's really the only thing that gets him mentioned, I think. But
that dude got he on a lot of records, man.
Yeah, but for what we're talking about, because all right, so let me ask you a question. So if he made the list, then 2 Chainz made the list.
Yep, sure did.
I was about to say that Chainz got to make the list.
They write actually on the list. Future, I wrote Future, and then I wrote 2 Chainz. Right next to for real. They got
to both be on then. If you got Future, I think impact wise, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Right? March Madness, you know what I'm saying? 56 Nights, classic mixtape. I don't know. I guess to me, when I was thinking like all the other categories, because lyrically he doesn't check the box, and I think in terms of swag he don't check the box. But I think impact
he got the
does.
swag.
I don't know
Them South dudes, they love the swag. Hey, what up?
You was helping your dad with his list?
Yeah, he got the swag though. But I don't even like Future. That's the thing. But I can't deny that he should be on the. If we talk about the South, he got to be on the list.
Okay. I mean, listen, I probably would have left them off, but I do respect the impact. And like I said, if he's on, then Chainz got to be on because Chainz had a great couple year run as well.
Yeah, 2 Chainz on there, and basically that's more based off of his. I like his flow more than his. I mean, his lyrics are kind of like remember how we used to? It's kind of like Cameron's where, you know what I'm saying? Like you be like, "What you say, dog?" But I do like what he brings to other people's music too, because a 2 Chainz feature usually doesn't let you down.
Chainz is dope. Like I said, he got his own style. He got his own swag. I think if you listen to some of the bars, is very sneaky.
It depends on like he's at his best when he's on a feature because I feel like that's when I feel like he take it more seriously when there's somebody else in the booth.
Fair. I thought the project with him and Larry June they just put out was dope. But if you look back at like his peak, like I'm Different and Yeah I Love Them Strippers. If you listen to the verses like on Mercy, on I Love Bad Issues, like the verses was tough, bro. He was holding his own. Like everybody talk about Kendrick verse on that song, you know, because it's Drake, Kendrick, ASAP Rocky. But Shane's verse hold his own with Kendrick and Drake.
Yeah.
ASAP was the weakest one on the song.
That's true. New York. No, I'm just
he's never gonna be in my top 10. ASAP would never be in my top 10. But I respect it. Who else we got?
This one, I had to see. This is really the only female I got on the list. She checks every box, and that's Missy.
Yeah.
Missy's nasty, man.
Yeah, Missy's tough. And we talked about earlier, I thought about it after I mentioned when I talked about the visuals between Luda and Busta. We got to put Missy in there too, because her visuals is A1.
Oh, yeah. And she had Missy catalog is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
She had some, I mean, it helped having Timberland, you know, having Timberland in your back pocket kind of helps. But she made some crazy music.
She was dope though. Like she had her own unique style. She brought something different to the game. And like I said, she never got stale because she always kept switching it up.
Yeah. She was in a girl group. I can't remember their name. It was an R&B group before she came out on her own. Dang, it's gonna bother me. It's gonna be like 4:30 in the morning. I'm gonna wake up and remember the name. But it was like they were like a little female Jodeci type little group. Man, it's gonna bother me. But yeah, Missy, I respect everything she's done as far as music wise. She her style had not been done before, and she did not, and she wasn't a sex symbol either, which made it harder. In a game where, you know, women are glorified as, you know, and as only, you know, what they can sell sexually most of the time, she kind of bucked that trend big time. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you gotta respect Missy. She deserves to be on the list of top selling rappers for sure.
I think that's what made her so dope. Because like I said, it was never about being a sex symbol, it was just about the artistic view. Mm-hmm. And she was able to do it at such a high level. It wasn't like on some like, oh yeah, she's cool, but it's underground. It was mainstream. Yeah. She made it mainstream without having to try to be a sex symbol. And you know, she was also one of the first. She may not get enough credit for this. She was also one of the first that really dabbled between the rapping and the singing. Now every artist damn near try to do it, but she was doing it in the '90s when nobody else was doing that. Where she could give you the melody and a little bit of singing with the rap.
Yeah, she made her own lane. She was a trendsetter for sure. Yeah, respect to Missy.
Yeah, shout out Dave Love. She said she was just about to say is Missy up there.
Oh yeah.
What else we got? Give me a couple more. Give me a couple more, Will.
In the vein of how we were talking about the impact Jeezy had on New York, this dude had an impact on, I know for sure, DC and the Midwest, coming from the South. And it was kind of the same ways with Jeezy, kind of the same lane as Jeezy. You gotta give Gucci some love. Yeah. Gucci got me on that, John. If Jeezy on there, Gucci got me on there, because there was a time you had to pick. You know what I mean? You was even rocking with Jeezy or you was rocking with Gucci. After all that beef with the with the murder.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of like you don't want to see that kind of thing play out in real life, but Gucci had from the Carolinas all the way to I say Cleveland he had the clubs going crazy.
Yeah, Gucci was another one. It wasn't like there was cats who was rocking with him in New York. I just don't think it was as, from my perspective, it seemed a little more country and it wasn't as polished as Jeezy. But in terms
That's
of
real
impact,
fair. Because that's true. It wasn't.
right? But in terms of impact, it definitely was very close, if not the same, because Gucci had the South going crazy. Gucci was unique in his own way, and the way he delivered the bars. To this day, it was a funny song when it came out, but the more and more you listen to it, and even now, like we talk about certain songs, that So Icy joint with him and Jeezy is still a tough joint.
Yeah.
Like when you first heard it, it sounded funny to hear the dude singing the hook, but then the more and more you listen, like, nah, they talk about some shit over there.
Yeah.
So
Gucci
definitely.
alive.
Yeah, Gucci is that Lemonade joint is still one of my favorite songs of all time. Gucci's nice. I fuck with Gucci. I fuck with Gucci.
And then I got three more, but one of them really didn't have.
Let's get some name on.
He's really, as far if you talking about lyricists, he's probably 1B for me, and that's Scarface.
Scarface, a legend.
The thing is, like, I'm not racing out to listen to some Space right now.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's like I know a lot of people do still listen to Scarface. It's just I haven't listened to Scarface in years. But I know what he did, and you got how he was to me earlier on. Like it was like he was in my top 3 all-time rappers at one time in my life. But as far as go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, you know what I noticed though, like if we're gonna say down south, we'll use Atlanta rappers because that's what most people reference when they talk down south, or New York rappers, right? When they get in the game, like this is what I plan on doing. This becomes their hustle. What I noticed from a lot of Houston rappers, right, like Face, like they get in the game, but they're not looking for longevity in the game. Mm-hmm. It's like, yo, I'm gonna give you like this classic material, and then I'm out. Yeah. And I think Face falls in that lane where it's super dope. I think you know what I'm saying? The joint, him, Jay, and Beans Can't Be Life is a classic song. Mm-hmm. He got a lot of classic material, but Face was more than comfortable. Like, yo, I gave y'all a couple years of this and I'm done. I'm moving on. Shout out the Pool. She heard us talking about Face. She said, my pops think Scarface can't be messed with lyrically. My dad still rock Face. Faith is your favorite rapper. I mean, he's an all-time legend.
That's what I'm saying. Legend. At one point in my life, he was in my top 3 of all time. But it just, that was probably over 20 years ago. Actually, the last time I was listening to Scarface regularly. But yeah, he a beast. But what I do like about Scarface is, and that's the only time I hear him now, is he comes to DC a lot. And Scarface performs with Backyard every time he's in the city. So, and I like, if you ever hear Scarface over some go-go's, but that's the time. He'll pick up the guitar and start belting out some shit on the guitar when he played with Backyard. And for the people that don't know, just watching, it's a form of music in Washington, D.C. called go-go music. If you ain't heard it, get hip, because it's something like you ain't never experienced before in your life. But Scarface always show love when he come through DC, and when you'll see him in interviews and podcasts and stuff, he always talks about. He always brings up go-go music, and when they talk about the impact of hip hop, and he always likes to bring up how go-go never gets his love, but he goes out his way to bring it up, and that being where I'm from, so I appreciate that personally.
Let me ask you though, Will, and you would be able to speak to this better than I can, because when we were talking about making a list. And then you had made the joke about like Wale being really the only rapper from DC. Why is that? Because DC's had a major impact on hip hop culture, like especially fashion. A lot of cats don't realize how much impact DC had on fashion within hip hop culture. but yet there's really been no rappers out of DC outside of Wale.
I mean, Fat Trail had a little some for
That
a
was more
minute.
underground, like Fat
Yeah,
Trail.
like you had your underground
What's
dude.
the other young boy?
Now, what's his name is Vicious, the little light skinned cat. What's his name?
But do
You got
you think because the region has so much love for go-go that kind
Cordan,
of
Cardan,
was it Corday or something like that?
Corday,
Yeah,
Corday,
yeah.
yeah.
But I'm saying, like, do you think just because the region has such a love affair with go-go that most young musicians prefer to do that than make
You
like
know,
traditional rap music?
I don't know. You know, I never really could figure that out because it was always there. Like it's always been people that could spit, but they never like for some reason or other never blew up. And I think it's more so. Well, DC got a lot of haters in it. Well, this how it used to be. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it's like now. I've been gone for a minute. But back then, back in the 90s, 80s, 90s, early 2000s, it was haters all the time. So you really, like, instead of, it was always people, like, if somebody was starting to come up, then the next dude didn't like that. You know what I'm saying? He was eating a banana. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
oh,
I don't like that shit.
yeah, I don't like,
I don't like that shit.
exactly. Yeah. So it was always, instead of like, instead of us bringing each other up, but not bringing, but just supporting, it was
Lifting each
always
other up,
somebody.
yeah.
Yeah, it was always somebody hating on somebody else. So I think more so that might have had a bigger impact than anything else because it's always been guys that could make it. Because look at all the R&B people who've come out of the DC area, tons of them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So don't act like, I mean, we can't act like the talent isn't available in that area. It's just in that genre where it's, you know, the competition where it's, you know, at that time, you know, the rapping was, I'm rapping about me being better than you. You know what I'm saying? People was taking that beyond the art form and was just hating on each other and it just
Because
never materialized. That's just my opinion. I can't say that's what it was, but that's my opinion.
even before I moved down into this area, I was coming down to DC like early 2000s, and you could see the fashion impact. You could see
Oh yeah.
like the culture, right? But I started wondering recently, like, yo, why is it that? Because the content and the subject matter is there. The same shit we talk about in New York takes place in DC,
Mm-hmm.
right? And like you said, to the same extent, Pusha T has made a whole career on sophisticated drug talk. But we all know that DC been at the hub of a lot of those conversations.
For sure. It's in a lot of the lyrics.
Right. You can't. Jay-Z is referenced coming down to DC many times. Cameron, plenty of New York artists have referenced it, and plenty of Southern rappers have referenced it coming up. It's almost like DC is the middle ground. Like if you're coming from the South, you gotta pass DC to go up to New York, and vice versa. If you're coming down South, you gotta pass DC. So I started wondering recently, like why didn't it ever take off in that way? And then I thought about it, like you said, maybe the affinity for go-go is just so strong in the area that young musicians prefer to do that. Because go-go is a purer form of music. You're talking instruments, you're talking live bands, you're talking different melodies. Whereas hip hop at its core is sped up poetry.
And you know what? You might have a really good point on that because I remember it was I was watching Eric Sermon was talking about what it was like what it was like on tour. He was talking about they were talking about where they didn't have good shows. And it was like the hardest place that they used to tour with him and EPMD back in the day was DC. And he said if you went to DC, you better have a go-go band on your ticket because if you like he said if you ain't have a go-go band, then they wasn't really rocking with you like that. But if you had a band like say they was coming to town, they had Junkyard open up for them or something like that, then the house was packed, the energy was there. But if it was no go-go band on the ticket, like DC wasn't really like we hear your music on the radio or whatever, but that's the thing, we had go-go, so it was like we weren't impressed almost. You know what I'm saying? It was like, okay, that's cool. Because we take their songs, flip them, and incorporated it into our go-go, which we thought sounded better because we liked the percussion and the live sound better than the record scratching and the the
Right.
beatboxing or whatever. So we took songs from there, blended it up, remixed it, put a little more season. We put some mumble sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? And made it our own.
That makes a lot of sense that Eric Summer would say that too, because as we're talking about it, I'm thinking like like when you see things like Tiny Desk or what's homie? I can't. I feel bad for can't remember his name. The homie
Nucci.
that does, yeah, homie that does the front yard joint.
Yeah, Nucci.
Those are great examples of the DC culture and sound collaborating with hip hop,
Yep.
right? Because to have the live band there while having the lyricism of the artist is the perfect blend of like this is what DC represents in terms of the musical ear and the combination of the lyricism which most traditional rap fans love.
Yeah, see, I remember in 1993, it was even 93 or 94, Tupac played at Bowie State with Backyard for their homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Hearing Tupac over a go-go beat was crazy. You know what I mean? That's what we wanted. We didn't really. That's why I think probably I think you're right. That's probably why the rap artists really never really blew. But that's why I like when Wale did. He incorporated a lot of go-go into his music and nothing forget.
He did. And
So
he's always shouted out Gogo.
yeah.
We're gonna get ready to wrap, but we got two things from Pooh I want to bring up, and then we're gonna start getting ready to wrap because I want to make sure we don't go over 2 hours because then it's gonna be super tough to cut up these clips. But we got too much content today, bro. This was a great episode.
And real quick, shout out to J. Cole, Currency, and Fonte. I got shout all three of them. They made my list for the South.
So I'm glad you mentioned J. Cole because that references what I was going to say about this question. Shout out to Pooh. She goes, let's ask y'all over the last 10 years, have we made any rap legends? And what makes you a legend? Is it longevity, his songs? Who over the last 10 years would you say are legends? I'll say J. Cole specifically. It's a combination of all those things you mentioned, Pooh. You got to have the longevity. You got to have the content that I think can sustain the test of time. If I play your album today, is it still playable 10 years from now, 20 years from now? When we talk about some of the guys we mentioned on this list, Andre 3000, Jay, Nas, Luda, T.I., Jeezy, DMX, those dudes, that's content that you can keep playing and it still holds the test of time. Go ahead, Will.
Nobody makes classic music anymore. That's the old man in me. Like none of this. Like I don't think, and I think people are in denial. Like the younger generations in denial if they think they're going to be listening to these songs even 5 years from now. This stuff is like how we live in a disposable society when everything's being made cheap, so you just throw away and get a new one. That's what I feel like. That's how I feel like they're approaching music now. I don't think nobody's in it to make something that's gonna last forever, or because that's not what the consumer almost wants anymore. They want what's hot right now. You know what I'm saying? It's no more like you had to be investing in the music before you would buy like me. You would buy an album. I'm sitting in the car listening to it before I drive off from the record store, and I'm going through. I'm reading the liner notes. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to see who produced what song, who wrote what song, and don't let it be one that came with the lyrics. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Don't let it be the lyrics. Fold it out. The joint just fold it up. Oh, this got the lyrics. It's the investment's not in the music no more because that was all you had. That was your offering to the people. It wasn't no streaming. You couldn't just pick whatever song out of the air. You had to. If you wanted to hear an album, you had to buy it. And you couldn't put trash on an album because I've invested my time and my money in you now, and so it better be good. That's not the thing anymore. Now it's okay. I can be hot. I can make one song, put it on TikTok. I could be trash, but the hook could be crazy. I can go on TikTok and get 4 billion followers. I'm paid. I don't gotta do nothing else. It's over.
You're 1000% correct.
It's a throwaway society until it's the music.
The microwave era ruined the game. We need to get to a place where we have that happy medium because, as you mentioned, in the back in the day, we sound like old men now. You had to have a proper rollout of an artist.
Yep.
Right? You had to get them on a feature somewhere, kind of build the fan base. And then, like you said, because if I'm expecting you to spend money on this album, I need to now build this artist up to a point where you like this artist and you're invested in this artist. Now, because we have this direct to consumer, you can upload the video straight to YouTube. You can upload the music straight to Spotify or Apple Music, and there's no buildup. And so because of that, people just are worried about quantity over quality. How much stuff can I get out there and get paid for, as opposed to let me build this up the right way and then create a body of work that my followers, supporters, the people who rock with me can really appreciate. So I 1000% agree with you. I think in terms of, like I said, legends over the last 10 years, J. Cole is the one that sticks out the most to me, because I think J. Cole has put out the most quality music over the last 10 years in terms of artists that have come out over the last 10 years.
J. Cole go a little further back than that.
We not Pooh. She said y'all OGs pray for Sexy Red and Cardi B are our legends, and that's a damn shame.
Oh damn.
And Pooh, definitely go back and watch the episode, Pooh. Me and Will start getting into the hip hop conversation about an hour in. The first hour is mainly sports talk, but the second hour is the hip hop convo. And we're gonna be back next Wednesday as well, 7:30. Make sure you guys lock in, subscribe to the Sanchez Show. Will, give me a final thought before we wrap up.
Final thought is, it's sad to say, but we're going to see the NBA season in tomorrow night. The Pacers have done all they can to stay afloat in this series, but I think they got too much going against them right now, and it's just seeming like the odds are against them with this injury to Halliburton. And I still don't want to use that injury as a bailout for him, because he's so up and down. Like, I just, you don't know what you're getting out of him. He's not that superstar that the league would like him to be, as voted on by the players, calling him Mr. Overrated for the year or for his career. What was it, just for the season? He was overrated
for the season.
Yeah. So the season's going to be over tomorrow. I hate seeing it, because now we're going to be rolling into what, strictly big three, and but like Eric said earlier, this is our season now, because we do a real good job of filling the gap. Pause. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. As always, we're going to come at y'all with the topics that you're not going to get from your typical sports shows or your podcasts. We've set trends. It's on tape, dated tape. We just proof it out there. We've already set trends as far as this podcast thing goes, and we're going to continue to do that, and just continue to hope you guys keep rocking with us, man. This summer's going to be fun.
That's a fact. Again, guys, tune in next Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. The Opinionated Ones, as part of the Sanchez Show, will be back. Make sure you subscribe. Again, we're live on YouTube, Facebook, and IG now. So lock in with us. We will see you next week. For my brother, Will Gordon, I am Eric Sanchez. We are the Opinionated Ones. Enjoy your night. Happy Juneteenth. We're out of here.